Hi everyone, it's Sam, NFTstatistics, and this is your Proof Daily NFT Countdown. Going to talk today about this Truth Labs Goblin number 2. They got something coming up, kind of interesting, weird stuff there. Some interesting art sales, update from Moonbirds, a bit of a kind of update on the market in general after the long talk yesterday. Let's get right to it. Starting with volumes down a small bit, users down again, one of the absolute lowest users day that we have had, or traders. This includes buyers and sellers. And I think the reason is pretty clear. I mean, gas prices went completely mad. This chart here looks at the average gas paid per blur transaction. There's something like 0.025 across the entire day, which is up a lot from just 2 days ago. So absolute crazy gas fees as people keep playing in the altcoin game. That's just kind of what happens on Ethereum. Large cap index, basically flat, up a small bit, had some strength in CloneX. Going to talk about it. Also some strength in Moonbirds and weakness in Azuki and Gutter. We can talk about that too. Mid cap basically flat to down. Again, mid caps have really, I think, gotten a bit of the brunt of this blur situation because they went from 2x to 1x bidding. They're not really on the lineup to get, the lending anytime soon. So I think we've just seen a slowdown there in terms of what was up in the mid cap space. VV checks having a nice little bounce. It's been a couple days. Rumble Kongs very weak. They were up a lot yesterday. Just a lot of volatility and floor prices. Not too much to read into there. In terms of CloneX has had a really nice rally. And what drove this yesterday? Well, LeBron, a picture of LeBron James with artifact shoes kind of surfaced. That's kind of awesome. I mean, this is one of the absolute top athletes on the planet wearing an NFT brand on his shoes. If you look a little closer, you can see that Artifact logo right there on the sneaker. Now, Artifact does have a relationship with LeBron. If you go back to, I believe, I think it was something like September of 2022. I'm not sure exactly when they made a one-of-one CloneX for LeBron, which you can see here. So this is a relationship. Obviously, he's a Nike athlete and Nike owns Artifact. So I think this is cool to see. I mean, we've always wanted to see this relationship between Artifact and Nike, bear fruit, get visibility for the brand, get visibility for the NFTs. So this was a bit of a hint of it. Now that was cool to see. Azuki was down a small bit. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention with Azuki, Azuki, I think, is at the epicenter of all the interesting things going on right now, largely because of the lending. They've also just got a lot of interesting things going on with the project. But it was about a month ago, I mentioned that there was one trader, one airdrop farmer who has historically built up big positions through bids. It's gone up to 50 Azukis, and then he sells them into bids, and basically has traded a lot like this. And here's the chart that shows this. In one case, he bought 5 or 10, then 50, then 5 or 10. And then about a month ago, this wallet got up to 180 Azukis. And I mentioned, I was like, wow, this is a lot for someone who has historically flipped what he gets long. And he basically went a month without touching it. Well, last night, he sold 60 of them. So you can see that in this chart. This is not time scaled. It's just kind of position scaled. Sold 60. So this holder is still holding on to 120, but did dump a third of the position. And I think that was a lot of the weakness, as well as just kind of uncertainty right now about loans unwinding. We are seeing the floor price from Lady and Azuki get below the price of a lot of these loans that are outstanding. So you are seeing some people who want to dump those NFTs to save their position, stuff like that. So yeah, a little bit of weakness there. In terms of our project, Gazers, Chromie Squiggles, Anti-Cyclones all did a little bit of volume, but nothing too crazy. Jumping into the top art block sales, here's a Gazers that sold for 14.1 ETH. That is the second sale in the 14s. We had a couple at 10 ETH, so nice to see those prices pick up. A Fuzzy Squiggle for 10.5 ETH, a little bit above the last Fuzzy sale. Nice to see that. This is a construction token, one of the very first, if not the first, actual art block project that actually minted ever. And those were selling kind of in the 6-7 ETH range a few months ago, but seeing a little bit of volume here in the 3 to 4 ETH range. And then lastly, a Decoherence by Pinder Van Arman. This was the drop that Pinder did with Super Rare. 2 Super Rare Genesis pass holders, and that went for 2.5 ETH. So some interesting sales over the past 24 hours. Second thing to talk about, and we will keep this one quick, but the Diamond Nest, the exhibition, is doing a relaunch, a reshuffle for people who ended up getting multiple NFTs of the same NFT. Basically, we talked in a show last week about how the Diamond exhibition basically had a bit of an error where people got a lot more or people who had multiple passes a lot of times got multiple of the same artist's work. So what the team agreed to do was, if you got a piece that you didn't want, you can put it back into the pool and do a reshuffle where you will get something back, and then the team will optimize to make sure that you don't get too much of the same one, and ideally none of the same one. A bit of the details here. Basically, any NFT that you got, you can reshuffle, but it must be in the wallet that got the drop. So this is not something where you can go and buy something on secondary and then reshuffle it and hope you get a Beeple or hope you get something different. It has to be from the wallet that the Proof team that was given to you with your pass. Also, Proof went out and bought a bunch of other pieces by other Diamond exhibition artists. So it's not just other reshuffle pieces that you're going to get. There are some special pieces that you could get if you get lucky. I believe there's some Moonbirds in there as well. And you have between now and May 7th to decide if you want to reshuffle and submit it. So that'll be fun to see. Curious to see what those Grail pieces that come out of that. Excited about this for Proof. Third thing to talk about: worst traders being rewarded by Truth Labs. A little bit about it. Here is the headline from CoinDesk. NFT collection Goblin Town will prioritize the worst traders in a second season mint. The mint will be called BigInc, which is the sequel to the Goblins, of course. And they will also be giving a 50% discount to people who use the meme code Pepe to buy it. Let's dig a little bit more. For those of you who don't know Goblins, these are what Goblins look like. It was the biggest free mint of the summer. Went all the way up to 7 ETH before really settling down. Here you can see the price just this year. The price got above 1 ETH. We're right now down to about 0.3 ETH. But if you look at this chart on a longer horizon going back to mint, you can see there were times we were at 6, 7 ETH mint, one of the biggest projects there was, and has really kind of calmed down since then. What's the news from them? They're going to be launching season 2 called BigInc. It's a corporation in Goblin Town, a 15,000 NFT project. I believe the idea is that BigInc is kind of the corporate people who've taken over the wonderful Goblin world, and the NFTs will represent, I think, animals who are serious and work for BigInc. The mint price is 0.096 ETH, but the 1,000 worst traders are going to get a free mint. I'll talk about that in a second. You also get a 50% discount if you're paying in Pepe, which I assume everyone will, which would make it just a 0.048 ETH mint. And then Truth Lab holders, Goblin Town, Grumple, Illuminati, in the right combination, can also get a free mint. Here's a look. I won't go too deep into it, but basically a Goblin Town plus a Burger Grumple get you a free mint. They have a bunch of different combinations that will get you a free mint. As far as what are they talking about, the worst traders, basically they created this website where they wanted to celebrate people who are down the most. It was kind of this idea, everyone's down bad. Let's reward the people who have done the absolute worst. And they're creating a leaderboard, basically, where if you had, you're allowed to submit and show your wallet, show how terrible you've traded. And if you're really bad enough, they will put you on this leaderboard and they will get you a free mint to offset some of those losses. They made kind of a joke, put Machi, Franklin, Pranksy on here, but then who knows? Maybe this is actually a thing. Kind of a funny idea. They say you can, if you're interested, you can apply, and the Truth Labs will analyze your wallet data to determine the quality of your transactions, and then you'll be placed on that board. My takeaway here: this is fun marketing. We're talking about it because there's not a lot going on, but this is just an interesting novel idea. Doing this meme or the mint in Pepe brings on a whole lot of other potential users. So I say fun marketing, tough market. I think this is a very tough market, especially for a project that's at 0.3 ETH to be launching a 15,000 piece collection. And I think that's why they're doing all this marketing with it, to make it part of the culture, to make it something people want to be a part of. Curious to see this though. The date has not been chosen. We will stay tuned. Lastly, a few notable sales in the PFP space. There were 2 huge DeGods sales. An acid skin sold for 27.5 ETH and a Medusa head sold for 70 ETH. That 70 ETH is the highest sale ever for DeGods on ETH, and really up there with the top Solana sales. So congrats there. Awesome to see that. This trade here is called this piece here is called A Home for My Ancestors, and it sold for 10.2 ETH, and it's a photo by Driftershoots. I thought the caption, and this was a secondary sale. It was down a bit from the last sale, but I thought the caption was really quite striking, so I want to read it. The Simon Kenton Bridge was historically a common crossing spot for slaves to escape to the freedom from Kentucky to Ohio. When I went there, I was involved in my own struggle for freedom. I climbed into the night, and at daybreak was greeted with an ethereal fog that shrouded me in the sky. It was as if my ancestors came to protect me and gave me strength for the days ahead. I set my self-timer, climbed onto the cable, and took the shot as I peered into the void. I mean, for those of you who don't know Driftershoots, I would really encourage you to see our Proof podcast. I did a podcast with him. He's got one of the most kind of inspiring but difficult stories of anyone I've talked to in the space. An incredible photographer, really interesting work. If you look at some of his top sales of one-of-ones, he's had sales at 50, 48, 44, 27. So the sale was definitely on the low end of the range for him. And he actually sent a tweet after the sale basically saying, I've had a lot of collectors and supporters reach out wondering what I'm up to. And I'm just evolving and making art. He's had a lot of healing. And when he says that, he had a brother who was shot and killed. He also spent time incarcerated, basically was arrested simply on the basis of the way he does photography. So a really crazy story that I'd encourage you to learn about, and an interesting thread here from Driftershoots. But nice to see that from him, and nice to see a sale. Always good. A double-digit sale, can't complain. Next piece to talk about, Dreamcatcher by Artur Falcao, sold for 5 ETH. Here are a bunch of his other pieces. All have this very kind of similar look and feel, and he's had a bunch of sales in that 3 to 6 ETH. So this was towards the high end of the range. So nice to see that. A bit about the artist in his bio. He says, I'm a visual artist based in Florianopolis, which is an island in Brazil full of tales and stories in which I mix aspects of my day and graffiti to generate my artistic style. He also, I checked it out, his website has a really kind of cool design skill, has designed hot sauces, has designed obviously merch and clothes, and a lot of really interesting stuff there. So very cool artist. Congrats to him on this sale as well as the buyer. That is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you have a great day. We will be back tomorrow with more. Give us a like if you like the show. Subscribe to the channel if you want to get more. Tell us what you think in the comments, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.